What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to another show. Tim Walz press conference was absolutely out of control. You have to hear Stephen A. Smith on PBD podcast. I'm wondering still, why are people still messing with Tucker Carlson? I don't get why that dude is even relevant anymore. I want to talk about a message that I got from the black community. And before we talk about any of that, we got to address the fraud in California. Welcome to the Officer Tatum Show.
If you don't believe that we are in a fight today, you're sleeping under a rock. If you get hit and you lay down and you cry and you fold up in the corner, definitely you will not win the fight. We show up to win. Our culture needs a lot of you young people in here to step up and stand out. There is nothing or no principality, power, division, devil can stop us when we're united. They can only get you when you're divided. When I see the American flag, I see us progressing to something that can be awesome and great. And if you don't plan on winning then, you might as well go home today.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. I want to give a special shout out to Freedom Chat and give a big shout out to the CEO of Freedom Chat, because the CEO of Freedom Chat is going to donate to support Nick Shirley Security. So I talked to Freedom Chat and they said they're going to give some money to support Nick Shirley with Black Line Security. If you want to support Nick Shirley Security, all you got to do is go to Black Line Guardian Fund. Black Line Guardian Fund is our nonprofit 501c3 that helps people in need of security, help them secure their security through the nonprofit. Also, check me out on Substack and everywhere else that you listen to your podcast or consume content. Let's get into this. All right, California's fraud. Y'all saw what happened in Minnesota, right? I mean, unless you were sleeping on a rock, smoking crack in the back of the Cadillac with Cat in the Hat, then you should have seen all of that fraud that has come out of Minnesota, that has been presented to us by Nick Shirley, and that will continue to come out of Minnesota. But California, if you thought the fraud in Minnesota was crazy, wait till you see what they doing in California. I want y'all to check out what they said on Newsmax. Roll the clip.
California Congressman Kevin Kiley, he is sounding the alarm in his home state, saying under Governor Gavin Newsom's leadership, it has become the, quote, fraud capital of America.
And we have team coverage. Our national correspondent Alana Austin is on Capitol Hill with more on the investigations into Tim Walz. But we start with correspondent Heather Myers, who has more on what is going on in California. A rainy day out there on the West Coast. Heather, what can you tell us?
Well, good afternoon to you, Katrina and Andrew. This latest report was issued by the state auditor, and that's a nonpartisan position. That state auditor now puts 8 state agencies on the high-risk list of agencies to watch out for things like fraud and mismanagement, as well as waste. Here's a look at that 92-page report. Newly added to the high-risk list is California's food stamp program. If the state doesn't get the improper payments under control, it could cost an extra $2.5 billion. Also on there is the Department of Finance, which was tasked with giving out COVID relief funds. Critics say $32 billion of that was taken by fraudsters. Then there are infrastructure issues like California's deteriorating dams, and also the high-speed train that's already cost taxpayers $18 billion without a single section of track complete. Other reports cite $24 billion spent on the homeless issue that critics claim the state lost track of. More recently, there's a report that says California cell phone users paid a surcharge for years to upgrade the state's 911 system. Here's Congressman Kevin Kiley talking about what happened to that plan.
That after spending $650 million on that system, the state is totally scrapping it and starting over, completely wasted the money because the technology doesn't work. Mind you, we are very close to Silicon Valley in Sacramento, and yet the government can't figure out how to make basic technology perform.
Let's talk about this real quick. They just mentioned that like 30 plus billion was stolen. 30 plus billion. That's like the money. I like to put this in perspective because people are losing their mind over Israel. And why do we give money to Israel? Okay, if you want to make that argument, let's make this argument. That's 10 years of giving money to Israel. 10 years of giving money to Israel. Just lost in California on COVID money fraud. Fraud. Not even the fact that they shouldn't even done it in the first place. We're talking fraud. And then you go with the high rail system that a track to nowhere. I don't think they've built any track for the light rail or the high speed rail. $18 billion gone. Homelessness. which is still rampant in California. They lost the money. That's $20 billion. You're talking, I don't know if I do the math, that's nearly $100 billion. Do you know how long it would take them to spend that in Israel? That's why I like to put this fraud in perspective, because this is just in California. We're not talking about Minnesota's another 20 billion. And people are crying about foreign aid. Now, I agree. We should be managing our foreign aid. We shouldn't be giving money where it's not necessary. But the $3 billion that we give per year to Israel for defense and all kind of intel that we get from Israel, and obviously as a Zionist to support Israel and the nation state and their existence, biblical existence, but the fraud that's going on in individual states surpassed this by leaps and bounds. You wonder why our nation is trillions of dollars in debt. Many of these states are hundreds of billions of dollars in debt because of blatant fraud, and it's all associated with handouts, food stamp fraud, all of this homelessness, it's all fraud. And Kevin Kiley gets into it, and Trump, he has his take on it, and I'm going to play it here in a second, but I just want to be just overly clear about this. This fraud is completely preventable. I mean, like we shouldn't even be having this conversation. And people who are participating or associated with the fraud, they've already gotten their money, and you're not getting it back. They say the high light rail, or whatever you call it, the high speed rail thing. The people who were in the contract done got the money. They just didn't build it. They still got the money. You know, the people, what was the other one? The homelessness. All those nonprofit 501c3s that are working with the homelessness crisis, they got their money, and they're not going to give it back. So they just played y'all. Let's play another Kevin Kiley's clip, because he explains what he was saying on the other show a little more in detail, and I think it's very interesting. Then we're going to get to Donald Trump, because Donald Trump put the icing on the cake when it comes to this topic. Roll the clip.
Yeah, so this came from the nonpartisan state auditor, which essentially christened California the fraud capital of the United States, with the number of agencies classified as high risk, meaning there's rampant fraud, abuse, mismanagement. It has doubled during Gavin Newsom's tenure, from 4 agencies to 8 agencies. So we're talking about all kinds of fraud when it comes to Medicaid, when it comes to SNAP benefits, when it comes to uninsurance benefits. And all of this, by the way, comes on top of the incredible fraud and waste and mismanagement that we already knew about. The high-speed train, where there's been no track laid in 17 years, spending $18 billion. The $32 billion during COVID at a minimum of unemployment insurance fraud. The $650 million on a canceled 911 next generation system that was canceled because the technology wasn't there. And so California is absolutely, under this governor, the fraud capital of the United States. And this is exactly the model that Governor Newsom wants to take to the rest of the country.
Well, you got the governor's attention because he responded to you saying, quote, Kiley is wrong. The auditor's high-risk list does not allege wrongdoing or billions in currency lost. It is a management tool used to target complex programs for heightened oversight and corrective action. Representative Kiley's claims are flat out false and misrepresent both the state auditor's report and the facts. Quick, your reaction to this?
I'd invite anyone to read the audit. And by the way, there have been other audits, like the one that found that $24 billion was spent on homelessness, and they lost track of the money.
Yeah, and you know, you can look at the bottom line there in the state of California. They're billions of dollars in debt. Congressman Kiley, thank you so much for joining us tonight on the.
Just putting things in perspective. We just putting it in perspective. It's not a partisan thing. I don't care what side of the aisle that you live on. With the amount of taxes that you could have had in your own pocket, but instead you're shilling it out to the state government and you with no consent. This is assault. They're assaulting your family legacy, and they don't have to prove nothing. They don't have to. You just lost that money. He gonna go on with his life at his vineyard, selling wine and worth hundreds of millions of dollars, and he not gonna give up about none of y'all. That's how it works. He done pimped you for all your money. This is why socialism and taxation and big government don't work. Donald Trump had something to say about it. Let's play the Donnie, because the Donnie is funny. Like, did that rhyme? No, it didn't rhyme. Don't worry about it. But Donald Trump is funny when it comes to this. He like throw jokes. He kind of like me a little bit. He is serious, but he telling little jokes, make it funny, but he tell it like it is. Roll the clip.
We should give everybody, like, these competency tests, right? The cognitive, they call it cognitive. You know, I'm the only president that went for cognitive. I think every president and vice president should be forced to take cognitive exams, mental tests, like, are they intelligent? Wouldn't it be nice? Do you think Walz could pass a cognitive test, as an example? Do you think Kamala could? I don't think Gavin could. He's got a good line of crap, but other than that, he couldn't pass. I mean, here's a guy who didn't want to have water coming down from the Pacific Northwest. Why? You know, they have a little tiny fish, this big, it's a little tiny fish. Not doing well. You know why? No water. They're sending water. It's too much. It's killing the fish, so they cut it off. And then they have 25,000 houses burned down. They don't know why. No, I think, I believe in it. I'm the only one that took a cognitive test.
And I know people like to make fun of Donald Trump and act as if he's old and senile. But the reason he resonates because it's very simple, basic math and cognitive functionality. It's very clear and simple, the stuff Trump is talking about. It's very clear and simple, the things that we are observing and we think it's nonsensical for people to be acting and operating this way. And these politicians are such frauds, and they trick you. And it's crazy to me, to be quite honest. And we're going to talk a little bit about Tim Walz's press conference. But before we get there, because I just want you guys to know where we headed. Before we get there, we got to talk about Tucker Carlson just real quick. I'm an honest man. And an honest man watching another man be dishonest, it bothers me a little bit. I think I lose about 15 minutes of sleep a night thinking about how silly Tucker Carlson has become. And it's not just me, for whatever reason, saying I don't like him just because I don't want to like him. That's crazy. I literally paid for my mother-in-law and my wife went to see Tucker when he came to Arizona before he got crazy. But the part that bothers me the most is because when I said to Charlie Kirk, I got your back. Whatever you need, I support you. As long as he's doing the right thing, and Charlie was always above board. I got your back. When I said that I was Charlie's friend, and when I told him I got his back, I meant it. I would not do anything that would hurt Charlie Kirk's legacy. I would not do anything that would hurt Charlie Kirk's wife. And I will not support people, platform people without chastising them if there are individuals out here destroying his legacy. I don't care if you're my friend or not. If you're saying it and you're wrong, you're wrong. But let's play your boy Tucker Carlson interviewing this weirdo. Every time I see this dude, I wonder, are we gonna see him on a news clip saying he touching people? Don't he look like he a foul? Don't he look like don't he look like, what man got his mustache looking like that? You ain't a firefighter. A regular, you on YouTube and your mustache look like that, you a question mark. I wouldn't want to leave my kids alone with this guy, just on the haircut and the mustache. But beyond that, this is the same guy that's been saying that Erica Kirk has some level of involvement in Charlie Kirk's death. This is a guy that's been pushing conspiracy theories nonstop. And Tucker has him on the show to interview him about what? Roll the clip.
Charlie Kirk is months ago now.
Time out.
And to this day,
Time out.
I think.
I just want y'all to listen to the stupidity that Ian Carroll is going to spew, and then the stupidity that Tucker's going to spew on top of what Ian Carroll said. Roll it.
The most Americans still feel like we don't have an honest set of answers. Whether you believe it was Tyler Robinson or you believe it was some version of some other conspiracy, I think that a lot of people feel very underwhelmed by the way it was handled by Cash, the way it was handled by every government official involved. And that should have been the most basic one.
Well, so I didn't want to talk about this because I know everyone involved very well, and I feel emotional about it. And I'm going out, day after tomorrow to speak at Turning Point at Charlie's request.
Which you shouldn't have.
But
hold on, stop. If Charlie was still alive, he wouldn't want you to speak. To be honest, he what you did when he was alive gave him the impression that you were somewhat of a reasonable guy. Look at how stupid you are. At his death, now, finish the clip.
So the hostility that I don't know what that was. The onus is on the government to prove it was a lone gunman. Okay, that's up to them, not up to me.
That's their job.
I'm not accusing anybody. I don't know exactly what happened. There is a lot of evidence that Tyler Robinson was involved, at least from what I read.
Yep.
If those text messages are real and the murder weapon is, I'm willing to believe anything, but I do think it's up to them to prove it to us.
Yeah.
Here's what I don't understand. There's
let him go. Let him go.
An enormous amount of rage. Different people with different views getting mad at each other. There's been almost no pressure on federal law enforcement to cough up the freaking facts and to tell a story that makes sense, that's got internal coherence, that that makes sense. I get it.
Exactly.
And there's no pressure.
There's no pressure. Let him finish. Let him finish.
On them. Even the question of motive, again, I want to believe it was a lone gunman who was a tranny or something. I want to believe that.
That is a lot better of an answer, a lot more comfortable.
100%. I want that. By the way, I'm a middle-aged man. I'm a normie. I don't want to believe anything other than what they tell me. But they've made it impossible for me. Yeah. So, but I don't understand the motive. They're like, well, transgenderism, which obviously I'm opposed to. But okay, was he transgender? Was he on hormones? How do you go from being this seemingly normal person to murdering a stranger with almost a dead certainty you'll be punished, you'll spend life in prison or be executed for it? That's a lot. That's a deep commitment, okay?
Yeah.
And I'm not saying it doesn't happen. Of course.
This is where these people lose me, and they should lose. You should lose respect for them. What is he talking about? The government, the onus is on the government to give us the story. No, it's not. They're investigating this. The federal government has a part in the investigation, but this was a murder investigation, a state-level charge. This wasn't a federal charge. The federal government uses resources to help the state get to their final conclusion, which means that if there's things that are done over the internet, the federal government has the jurisdiction to request that information or work with companies that are federal to extract that information, because at the state level, they don't have the ability to do that. That's the end of it. Utah State is doing a murder investigation. And you guys think the federal government is supposed to give you a narrative. And then you guys think that the federal government or even the state government is supposed to lay the trial out to you. They cannot do that publicly. They can only do within reason to give you a reasonableness of the direction of the trial, which, to be honest, bro, they did. If it wasn't for internet fools and these idiots on TV creating fake controversy, we would have a baseline narrative. Do I have to go over this again? Everybody's at the event. Pow! Charlie gets shot. They look back where the gunshot happens. The guy runs from the roof. They got him on video jumping off the roof. He dropped the gun with his DNA on it. DNA on the bullets. The gun belonged to his grandpa. His parents identified him. His parents admitted that the gun belonged to the grandpa that was in his possession. His dad Dang, I spit on myself. His dad questioned him, admitted to the police that was their son. They turned him in. What narrative are we missing here? It's you don't want to believe it. You want it to be Israel or something stupid. We got the narrative. He's in jail right now. He just had an initial appearance. Or at least, I don't know which appearance this was. This wasn't the initial hearing because they didn't go over evidence. But he had a defense team. He's been formally charged, indicted. What other narrative are you looking for? You want them to tell you they showed you the text messages. You just don't believe it. They showed you evidence of the gun. You just don't believe it. They showed you surveillance footage of his face when he's going up the staircase. You just don't want to believe it. What are we talking about? It's not that they're not showing you information. You don't want to believe it, which is fine. But don't act like you're so confused. They got the guy in jail right now. And then let me say this. Put the dummy on the screen real quick. About the tranny narrative. Transgender people, like this was a whole story. Trans people going and shooting up schools and stuff. What are we talking about? Like, we don't know that these people are mentally ill, some of them, and they're being violent. We do know that his boyfriend is a transgender. And we do know that Charlie was shot right after answering a question about transgenderism. The kid was indoctrinated. Have you seen him? He looks like he been taking pills all day. He looked like he's MK Ultra or something. He don't look like a regular person anyway. You think that it's so shocking to you that kid is nutty? He looked like a school shooter or something. A loner, signs and symptoms. He's living and getting sexed by a transgender that indoctrinated his mind. What's so confusing about that? If you were responsible, you'll be telling your audience, or at least giving a perspective of this. You will be doing a little bit of research. That was your friend, wasn't he? And now you're coming up with a ghost narrative. All these other narratives have no evidentiary value. Israel did it, no evidence. There was multiple shooters. We don't have any evidence there was multiple shooters. He took one shot to the neck. They have an autopsy. All right, man. It's more of this. Just let them finish. It's about a minute left in this clip. We're going to go to a few other clips, and then I'm going to let it go. Roll it.
But like, how did it happen in this case?
Yeah, and tell us the facts, right?
Yeah. And it's like, shut up.
Yeah, and it's like this. It's a parallel to the Las Vegas in the sense that just one piece of evidence. In the case of Charlie Kirk, it's one piece of evidence. In the case of Las Vegas, it's like 5 trillion.
Well, the Las Vegas thing, the story is just like it.
What I was going to say is that the video is, we know they have it. Like, in Vegas, we know that there's surveillance footage of the entire city. We know that every hotel has footage of everything that happened. And we know that they could release it. And we could see these alleged gunmen. We could see these fake 911 calls, right? And in Charlie's case, we know that the camera that they released footage of this guy running across the roof, that camera sees the whole roof. That camera sees the shooting position clearly. I went there myself. And so it's like, if you have the video of the shooter running to get off the roof, you have the video of him taking the shot. And so it's these little things where you don't take that step.
So you telling me that they're just not showing it to us because of what? Are you saying they made up the footage? You got to make your mind up. Are you saying you're claiming that they have footage of him running off the roof? Are you saying that footage is not real? Because if you're acknowledging that the footage is real, then somebody's running off a roof, and there are people witnessing this. You got to think, there's thousands of people there. They hear the shot, they turn around, they see him run off the roof. People see him run off the roof. People are encountering him as he's running through the street. Now, at the time, they didn't know what he was doing. But now that they know what happened, the FBI has probably been able to investigate or interview all of those people that told them, yeah, I saw this guy jump off the roof. They don't have to show us the grotesque nature of a man assassinating Charlie. That will come out in the trial. Why do they have to show that to the public? They show you enough. You seen him run off the roof. He's in jail. His parents turned him in. It's only people that are trying to push conspiracies that make it seem like this is so bizarre. The government has never gave us all the evidence to a crime before the trial. That's like saying when O.J. Simpson was in trial, they showing the public gloves and stuff. They're not. That's in the trial. Jodi Arias, all of the stab wounds and stuff that she, like, that they're not showing that to the public. That comes up in the court of law because that's where it belongs. And thank God we have an open court. So we're going to be able to see all of this stuff that they claim the government's hiding in the court of law. They created an affidavit, and you dummies don't read the affidavit. It lines out all the probable cause for the arrest, which they allude to the fact that they have evidence of all these things. But y'all trying to trick your audience into believing it's mysterious that they don't openly conduct a trial before the trial date. You want them to taint the jury pool and disclose evidentiary information to the public for what? So you can put it on your podcast? This is a murder investigation. There may be still people that's involved that they may find out later. You don't disclose the evidence until you have a solid finished product. If you get online and say, we know that it was two shooters. Well, the second shooter is gonna know that you onto him, and they're gonna do things to destroy evidence. Sometimes the government don't disclose it so that the second shooter don't know they're on his trail. So they allude to the fact that this is the only evidence we have. That may not be the evidence they have. Anyway, let's go to the next idiot that he interviewed, which is Milo. And let's go to the clip of Milo on Tim Pool's show. Let's frame Milo on Tim Pool calling Charlie Kirk gay. And then I want you to put this in your mind. Why would somebody bring him on their show after he said this about your friend Charlie Kirk? Roll it.
I'm always a couple of days behind watching on the show because I've got stuff going on. But somebody tweeted today that Candace said that she believed that they were about to get a divorce. I think he was gay, I think he was gay. And
come on, you know that you do know that I've criticized. What? Like I'm sorry, Tim, but like, why would you even go there? Like to say something like that?
Oh, I'll tell you why.
No. The man's dead. You're calling now. You think he's gay?
That's when people can tell the truth.
No, that's when people can lie about you. You can't defend yourself. There is no evidence, no rumor that I've ever heard of Charlie Kirk being gay. There's not even rumors. Now, other people, there's rumors of them being gay, but there's no rumors of Charlie. Where do you get that from? And he says this about Charlie, which was completely inappropriate and wrong. And then he goes on to Tucker Carlson's show. He invites the man on, and this is the interview. Roll it.
Are you gay? Were you gay? Like, what is gay?
Nobody's gay. In almost every case, and certainly in every male case, it is a trauma response. It is not a sexuality. It is not part of what you are or who you are or a component of your personality. It is a set of behaviors that emerges in people with a number of very easily identifiable common etiologies.
So pretty much what he's saying is that nobody's gay on purpose. I'm thinking that's what he's saying. It's trauma responses and all this other stuff. So that means that in Milo's case, if you're saying that, then that means that you shouldn't criticize people for being gay because they're responding to trauma instead of criticizing them. But then he goes out of one side of his mouth say that, and then he goes out the other side of his mouth and say this. Roll it.
Well, I know a bunch of them. Yeah.
Right, of course you work in, and I used to work in conservative media, and it's all of them. It's everybody. It's everybody.
I know.
They're all they're all gay. All of them are gay. All of them are gay. Like everyone is gay.
I haven't said anything about it for like 30 years just because of my just general Anglo commitment to not get involved in other people's business. But it's so noticeable. I just don't know clearly there's something going on here.
That's his brain taking a dump. And wasting on the rest of his brain. Ooh, everybody's gay? Name them then. Say some names then. Everybody's gay. Let's play the next clip and then we'll be done with this segment. Roll it.
Is there anything gayer than John McCain's like bloodlust?
I agree. Or his proteges. No.
Seen through this prism. I mean, he's even got the fat friend. It's his daughter. He even bred the fat best friend. Is there a more ostentatious like hag in America than Megyn McCain? You know, she hates herself. She's fat. She's crazy. She's every gay man's dream.
Why is that every gay man's dream?
Because they want to visit upon their female friends the cruelty they wish that they could perform on their mothers.
Whoa.
Whoa, that's so profound. I don't even want to push back on it. What are you talking about? The crazy thing to me is that when they say everybody's gay, I mean, I don't know how you would know that, to be honest. I've been in the conservative movement for a while. I've heard rumors of some prominent people doing gay stuff. I have no evidence of it. They never been gay to me, and they're gay around me. And I ain't messing with people like that. How do I know what you're doing? And I go to the event, I do my stuff, I shake hands, kiss babies, and I go home. I'm not engaging with people to know if they doing gay stuff or not. How do y'all know? How do you know for a fact? In my personal opinion, unless you're doing gay stuff with people, you don't know what they doing. And I ain't even thought about it, to be honest. I ain't got nothing to do with that. Won't they name some people since they say people are gay? Name a couple people and give us some visibility on this. But you know they'll never do it. Democrats are flipping out about Venezuela, like they always do, because they hate Trump so bad that if Donald Trump take a stand against Venezuela, now they're for Venezuela. When Donald Trump didn't do nothing in Venezuela, they mocked him and said, you claimed that you were going to do something. You didn't do nothing in Venezuela. These mother Democrats spend their whole platform talking about how destroyed one of the greatest economies in the world were in the 70s. Jim was telling me this earlier. I think in the 70s, they were top 4, the number 4 economy in the world. Democrats love talking about it. And then when Trump does something about it, now they mad. Before we get to Venezuela, I want to talk about the press conference with Tim Walz real quick, and then we're going to move on. But look at this fool and the stuff that he say. And I hope that people wake up to these politicians being crooked as 2 left shoes on an 8-legged man. Roll the clip.
This is a decision that I make and make with my family. And certainly I think, as I said, it's the right decision. I'll note, I think it's appropriate we're here today. The war that's being waged against Minnesota, you're seeing it. We have a ridiculous surge of apparently 2,000 people not coordinating with us that are for a show of the cameras. I'm going to note to all of you, today is January 6th. There's no debate what happened. The President of the United States led an insurrection against a fair election.
He led.
To try and overturn that and, report both sides of this. Well, he said he really didn't, and courts convicted 400 of them, and he pardoned them. No, he did that. He did that, and that's today. And it's clear that we also saw today he implemented 5 states are being punished with a freezing of federal funds illegally that were appropriated by Congress, our tax dollars. And I find it interesting that Minnesota, California, Illinois,
read your paper.
And New York, we're taking that. The interesting thing is the biggest fraud trial in the country is taking place in Mississippi today with $100 million of welfare fraud. And I don't believe Mississippi was on that list. So look, this is a concerted effort to try and destroy the president's opponents, to destroy the rule of law. And it became apparent to me that he was going to do that with me being there. And I just feel, along with my family, that it's the best decision for Minnesota. And I feel very confident.
No. It's the best decision for you because you're a coward. You just said in front of the world that you don't want to be attacked, so you're going to quit. Just like Marjorie Taylor Greene did. She get attacked by Donald Trump and they quit. No, what happens is these people are fraudulent and they're going to get found out. And so they know Donald Trump ain't playing. So he'd rather jump out of office than to have to pay the price for all that fraud that was perpetuated in Minnesota under his watch. Mississippi committed $100 million in fraud and they weren't on the list. Well, let's let it play out then. Do you think we should have a list of people who committed fraud? You said Mississippi did it. You did it too. Shouldn't you be on the list? What you should be saying is we should be on the list and Minnesota. They ain't gonna say it because they're fake. All right, next clip.
Doing to the Somali community is absolutely unconscionable. And at some point in time, this is about, I don't know what it is. Whatever it is, I bug the crap out of Donald Trump. I would argue it is because I believe in public service. I have not enriched myself in office. I treat people with dignity. I agree to compromise with people. And the attacks on Minnesota are far beyond me, and it's hurting Minnesota. Here's what I have full confidence in is Republicans are going to lose races up and down the ticket because where is their plan on health care as health care prices doubled? Where is their plan to push back on the president? Again,
where's your
for
plan?
God's sakes, the children of a murdered speaker, and they can't speak up and say, Mr. President, this is wrong, stop it. And you write a story that one retired legislator said it and one member. How can you not have every single one of them saying this is wrong? And I'm going to fight this without having to spend any time worrying about the politics of this. I'm going to fight it, making sure that Minnesotans are cared for. I'm going to fight it by doing the respect that we should have for rule of.
So I'm a wussy. That's pretty much what you said. You telling me you can't fight it and campaign for the if you're the right man for the job to help Minnesota and you've been doing the right thing by the people, then why would you step out of the race? If Minnesota is under attack, you're claiming I'm not willing to fight for Minnesota. I'm going to put that on somebody else to fight for Minnesota. These people are saying it in plain language. Last Tim Walz clip, and then we're going to get to the Maduro arrest. Roll the clip.
State, there's full accountability for everybody because buck stops with me. I'm accountable for this. And because of that accountability, I'm not running for office again. But I have a year to continue to improve on a record that I think will stand up against anybody's, a record that has made Minnesota better, a record that makes people want to come here, and a record that has respected not only the dignity of people, but the idea of rule of law. Their idea of improving this state is being a parrot for Donald Trump, agreeing to everything that he agreed with. Well, here's what I'm going to tell you. It ain't happening.
I can't, you're saying the buck stops at me. Does that mean that you're responsible for the fraud? And because you're responsible for the fraud, that means you should not run again. Like these people gaslight you. I'll take full responsibility, but Donald Trump is wrong. No. You took full responsibility. So that means you took full responsibility for the taxpayers of Minnesota getting screwed. What are you going to do to fix that? Oh, I'm just not going to run again. That's all you get out of that? You're just going to quit the race because you allowed one of the biggest frauds in American history to go on in your state. All right, let's get to the Dems losing their mind over Maduro because I think this is another crazy thing. You got CNN out here defending Maduro. They're defending Maduro. Donald Trump is a genius. If he wants the Democrats to be on the wrong side of history, he just take the right approach on whatever topic it is, and they're going to take the wrong side. Maduro is a dictator. He's evil. He wasn't a legitimate president. No one recognized him, not just America, but nobody recognized him as the legitimate president. You name it. Fraud in our election probably came from Venezuela. We'll see that come out in the future. But because Donald Trump is against it, they got to be for it. Listen to him.
The U.S. is alleging that Maduro, again, is a drug trafficker, among others.
This one thing that we'll start the clip over. This one thing that I don't like. If you are speaking plain English with no accent, don't gain an accent when you say Maduro. That just bothers me. It's like, I'm going to the store one day to find out where I'm going in Maduro. And it's like, bro, your accent ain't, if you talk to somebody that's English their second language, they roll their R's and they have an accent on every word they say. But they put the dummy up here that can roll his R's, so he talks in plain English, and then when he say Maduro, he goes Maduro. Maduro. It's Maduro. You're speaking English. Maduro. It's not Maduro. 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 It's not Maduro. Maduro. Sick of y'all code switching whack jobs. Play the clip. Just listen to this fool. Everything is plain English, but Maduro. Play it.
The The U.S. is alleging that Maduro, again, is a drug trafficker, among other charges, something that will ultimately be decided by jurors. Here's what we know about the illicit drug trade out of Venezuela. The first drug trafficking accusations came against Nicolás Maduro back in 2020 during the first Trump administration.
Maduro.
And at the time,
pause the tape. Nicolás Maduro. Nicolas Maduro. What are you saying? How do you go home to your wife at night and feel like a real man when you out here being fake as mud? Nicolás Maduro. Man, speak Spanish then. Just do it in Spanish. Roll the clip.
Former Attorney General Bill Barr said the Venezuelan government facilitated the transport of up to 250 tons of cocaine annually. Experts believe that most of that cocaine, though, is bound for Europe, not the United States. And also, for context, that total falls far, far short of what we see in many other countries. For instance, according to U.S. data, Guatemala, a much smaller nation, saw 1,400 plus metric tons pass through 2018 alone, which we know did wind up flowing into the United States. Cocaine is obviously dangerous and lethal. It is not, though, the drug causing most overdose deaths in the United States. That dubious distinction belongs, of course, to fentanyl. In 2024, the CDC says that drug killed more than 48,000 people here in the United States.
Hold on. Well, let's go to the, Guatemala next. Okay. So, all right, what's your point? But this is what these cowards fail to realize. People are not just doing fentanyl. I don't know why people are so stupid. No, most people are not getting fentanyl in a pill because this amount of fentanyl will kill you. People aren't just getting fentanyl. They're cutting these drugs with fentanyl. So they put fentanyl in cocaine. They put it in heroin. They put it in weed. They put in fentanyl and other stuff to cut the drug. Therefore, it's more powerful for less drug. And it's like a fluff. They put a little fentanyl in there. They sell you a little less. It's way more powerful for what they got to spend on it. So they amping these drugs up, and that's what's killing people. Because they think they doing blow, and it's got fentanyl in it. That's how they dying. Nobody will take fentanyl and pinch it out and stick it on their tongue to die. What's happening is these people are buying street drugs that's laced with fentanyl. What are y'all saying? I remember when I was a cop, heroin was killing people like it was going out of style. What I know now is it probably wasn't just heroin. They were cutting that heroin with fentanyl. That's why people started ODing way more than any other time in the history of our police department. And it's funny that shortly after that, it was the fear of fentanyl, not the fear that we would come across actual fentanyl. The fear was that we would have drugs that were laced with fentanyl that will give the same effect, meaning if it touches your skin or you inhale it, you can die. But they get on the news with no information, not know what they're talking about, and pushing stupidity. All right, let's go to the next clip. Forget this Maduro. All right, let's go to Stephen Miller, and then we're going to go to another leftist, Megyn Kelly. And
first of all of Venezuela experts agree. All Venezuela experts agree that it would be absurd and preposterous for us to suddenly fly her into the country and to put her in charge, and the military would follow her, and the security forces would follow her. This is not a serious. It's not even a serious question.
So should there be an election?
Let me. If you give me the floor for 30 seconds, let me tell you what we are doing here, Jake. The United States. This is sort of foundational. The United States is using its military to secure our interests unapologetically in our hemisphere. We're a superpower, and under President Trump, we are going to conduct ourselves as a superpower. It is absurd that we would allow a nation in our own backyard to become the supplier of resources to our adversaries, but not to us, to hoard weapons from our adversaries, to be able to be positioned as an asset against the United States rather than on behalf of the United States.
Sovereign countries should be able to do what they want to do.
The Monroe Doctrine and the Trump Doctrine is all about securing the national interests of America. For years, we sent our soldiers to die in deserts in the Middle East to try to build them parliaments, to try to build them democracies, to try to give them more oil, to try to give them more resources. The future of the free world, Jake, depends on America being able to assert ourselves and our interests without apology. This whole period that happened after World War II, where the West began apologizing and groveling and begging
I don't even
and
know,
engaging these
honestly,
vast
what you're talking
reparation
about right
schemes.
now.
What I'm talking about, Jake, is the idea. And by the way, you do. I know you love doing that smarmy thing, Jake, and I was hoping to be better than that this time.
I asked you about if there should be an election.
Exactly.
I asked you if there would be an election in Venezuela. That's what I asked. I said, why was the president so quick to dismiss Machado? You answered that question. And then I said,
the objective, Jake, is security and stability for the people of Venezuela. With our help and leadership, that country will become more prosperous than it has ever been in its whole history. Venezuelans
but the
will
woman
be richer
running Venezuela
and
right
safer
now is
and
part
more
of the
secure
Maduro
and
regime.
better off. There will be conversations, Jake, about all of these guideposts along the way. The reason why I was giving you that speech, which I know you didn't want to hear, is because you're approaching this from the wrong frame. This neoliberal frame that the United States' job is to go around the world and demanding immediate elections be held everywhere, immediately, all the time, right away. To create these vacuums.
That's not what I think, but you invaded the country. We went into the country and we seized the leader of Venezuela.
Damn straight we did.
And I'm saying,
we're not going to let.
So is the U.S. going to have new elections?
Jake, is that we're not going to let Tin Pot communist dictators send rapists into our country, send drugs into our country, send weapons into our country.
Okay.
And we're not going to let a country fall into the hands of our adversaries. The future of Venezuela, working with America, is going to be so bright and so incredible and so positive, and we'll have a conversation about everything that you raised. But the priority right now, as the president has been made clear, is a judicious, thoughtful, careful transition process to secure a great future for Venezuela and to secure a great future for America.
All right.
And let's just take a moment and just acknowledge, Jake, that what we've witnessed under President Trump's leadership this last week is one of the greatest foreign policy and military victories this country has ever had.
Exactly. And the little weenie over there, put the weenie back on the screen. The little weenie over there is Jake Tapper is mad. Why you mad, bro? Why y'all got a problem with this? What do you think? And I'm going to tell you, it's like, I don't know what some mental gymnastic or strategy that they use to like divert from the real topic is that they go after, are they going to hold elections? I mean, like that is irrelevant to all the stuff that Stephen Miller is saying. It's not just, we go travel, we're going to hold an election. Their elections were stolen. They're running a fraudulent election. What are we going to do? Let them run another fraudulent. We go over there and do all this for them to run a fraudulent election, then we have to do it all over again. For the time being, we are going to secure what we need to secure in that country since we went over there. We'll throw the election up there. We'll let them do their little thing. But until then, America's controlling it. And why y'all mad? All right, one more. Megyn Kelly. I unfollowed her just recently. She wasn't following me. I think she unfollowed me because I could have sworn she was following me. But Megyn Kelly is a milquetoast. Put your thumb in the wind to figure out which direction you want to go, which bandwagon you want to hop on. That's what Megyn Kelly has become. I like Megyn Kelly. I mean, I was all a big fan of her until recently. She can't pick a side because she don't want no smoke. She came out saying she supported Israel when it was popular, and then it became unpopular. And then all of a sudden she got questions, and all the Jews are mad at her because they say she's anti-Semitic. Now she want to take the middle approach. That's the difference between me and people like that. She don't want to take a side because she don't want no backlash. Listen to her. Hold on. Before we get there, and I'm not the proponent of saying you got to call people out by name. You don't have to if you don't want to. But you should at least address the foolery that people are saying. She won't address nothing that nobody's saying. No, nobody. Milquetoast, lukewarm, I have no respect anymore on this topic. I don't know her personally. She may be cool. Drinking red wine, she probably cool, hang out with. But on the political topic, I have zero respect for her. Roll the clip.
I really think this is something we need to consider both sides on. I really do. I don't think, let me just tell you something. When I was at Fox News, which was a long time, 14 years, I would have known exactly what to do in the wake of Trump's attack in Venezuela, his retrieval, shall we say, to put it in mild terms, of Nicolas Maduro. I would have known that I was supposed to cheerlead it. And I turned on Fox News yesterday.
So you telling me your whole career you were fake? That's what I'm hearing. When I was working for a company, I knew that I should have did this. What do you mean? You didn't have your own opinions? You mean that you were scripted like Tucker was? So Fox, and you working for Fox, you admit that you didn't have your own opinions. You were told what to say. You were bought and paid for. You did not have an opinion. And now that you're a freelancer, now you wacky. Because you don't have no opinions. Roll the clip.
And I'm sorry, but it was like watching Russian propaganda. There was nothing skeptical. It was all rah-rah, cheerleading. Yes, let's go. And that's fine. I love our military as much as anyone, and I believe in President Trump. But there are serious reasons to just exercise a note of caution before we just get on the rah-rah train. All right, I have done that enough times in my career as a Fox News anchor,
fake news anchor,
to have been embarrassed enough to know I'm going to stay on the yellow light for this. Oh. I'm not in the green light territory. I'm not in the red light territory either, but I am staying in the yellow light territory.
Why? What's the yellow
for
light?
now? I see all of the strategic advantages of what he's done. Trust me, I do. I see that other countries like Russia and China and Cuba were all over Venezuela and its oil, posing a potential threat to the United States. I get that. That's actually the most persuasive argument, and obviously the real one, and none of this about law enforcement. But I have seen what happens when you cheerlead unabashedly U.S. intervention in foreign countries, thinking it's for our good and for the international good.
Time out. Let me just articulate this very clearly real quick. And I'm gonna get back to our clip. Give me like 2 seconds. No, more like 30 seconds. This is the same talking points that Tucker Carlson has. Why? Just because other presidents intervene and it failed, that does not give you the prerequisite to say that Donald Trump is going to fail. Compartmentalize, woman. Compartmentalize. The signs and symptoms of failure then were clear then. The signs and symptoms of strategic success is apparent in this situation. I'm going to tell you how fake these people are. They want to play in the middle because I don't want to be wrong. So I don't want to take a side because I might be wrong. That, you know how cowardice that is? That's like Donald Trump being like, I'm not going to arrest Maduro because what if it don't go right? That's not leadership. That's wussification. You do what you need to do in good faith and do the best you can. You're not God. You don't know what the outcome is. But the reason that you get involved is in good faith. Not being like this woman. That's why, and I'm not saying women, but women like this can't lead. Because you fickle. I've been burned so many times. So then, therefore, that means that if you drive a car and it break down on you, I'm not driving cars no more. Because I can't trust that. No, you got a new car. You got the tune-up on it. You got the oil change on it. You got the brakes checked. It came from a reputable dealer. You should be able to compartmentalize, although those other cars didn't work, here's the reason why they didn't work. The people weren't acting in good faith. So I got a new car. We got a new president. We got a new president that has proven himself in 2 terms that we don't do regime change. And if we do any regime change and we do get engaged in military conflict, we're doing it in good faith and it works out because we're doing it for the right reasons. But you cowards don't want to take a position because I've been burned in the past before. Don't blame nobody but you. You the one took the wrong. You should have said, I don't believe in that. But I'll tell you this. What's the middle? What's the yellow light, Megyn? What's the middle ground? You sit in the middle? I don't know if it's right or wrong. That's safe because that's cowardice. If you're a commentator and you putting your opinions out there, you don't mind putting your opinions out on everything else. But you want to be in the middle to save face for you. I'm the type of person that said when I believe that Donald Trump does the right thing, then I believe that he's doing the right thing. And when he's doing something I think is wrong, I'm going to come out and say, I think this is not right. Conveniently play in the middle. All right, I'm going to finish this clip and we'll be done. Roll it.
Only to wind up with what we've called quagmire in places like Iraq.
That's not Venezuela.
Not to mention Libya.
That's not Venezuela.
We're not great at going into these foreign countries,
Venezuela.
Decapitating them at the leadership level,
it's not
and
Venezuela.
Then saying either we're going to steer the country to a better place
Venezuela.
or it's going to steer itself. Either one. They just 9 times out of 10, they don't work out well.
It's not
and
Venezuela.
what does it mean in terms of boots on the ground? Trump is saying, I'm actually fine with that in Venezuela. Well, whose boots? Because I have a 16-year-old boy. And I have a 12-year-old boy, and I have a 14-year-old girl. And a lot of my listeners have children, too, who are actually the ones who might have to fill the boots. So I think I speak for...
Why? How your kid... We're not going to do a draft. This is Venezuela. You act like we're going to war with China. How your kids going to get in the military? Unless they want to. Let me say this to y'all, man. And my military people, y'all can disagree with me or back me up, whichever one you want. People don't sign up on the military to sit on a base every day. You sign up to fight for the country. What are you saying? You don't get to pick which war you go to. Well, I don't like that one. I don't want to fight in that one. Well, don't join the military. When you join the military, there be some fights you may have to get into that you may not understand. There may be fights that you get into that you feel was unnecessary at the time, but it was beneficial to the country in the future. There are people that fought wars that some people think now in hindsight that we shouldn't have done. But nobody's in the military to sit in a safe place on a military base in America. That's not why you join the military. That's like being a cop and being like, man, we don't need to enforce that law. It's too dangerous. Well, don't be a cop. Sometimes you're going to have to go out and put your neck out there for other people. Right, wrong, and different, whether you like it or not. Somebody do an active shooting in a school, we don't get a chance to say, well, y'all should have secured the school. We wouldn't even have to go in this building. His mom and them should have. If you're not going to keep the kid from having a gun, then I don't want to. There's all kind of failures in society that when I put that uniform on, I realize I may have to engage with, although it's a failure that I don't have nothing to do with. But I may have to step up and put my neck out there. If I join the military today and our commander-in-chief wants us to go in Venezuela, that's what we got to do. I joined the military. If that's what the thing is that the military isn't a democracy. You don't get to vote on what action you take. Training in military is dangerous. You don't get to say, man, that training is way too dangerous for me. I'm out. I ain't signed up to be in danger. And I know people may say it's a straw man to a certain degree, but quit with that. My kids may have to serve. Somebody else's kids died for your freedom too. My kids, but I got a girl. Remember when people got drafted? Somebody else had a little girl too that had to fight in the war and died so you could be free. But you sit on your high horse with all your money in your mansion. I don't want my kids to have to die for something I don't know if I agree with. I'll put my life on the line and die for this country, right, wrong, and indifferent. I don't care if I like it or not. I don't care if I agree with it or not. When I put that uniform on, it's go time. Or I don't put the uniform on and I never have to worry about dying. But your kids ain't finna just join the military because we're going to make them, especially not your daughter. Women don't get drafted. So if you claim we're going to get into another war, it ain't your daughter. Why bring her up? And if your daughter decides to join the military, she know what to expect. I get sick of these people, man. Y'all don't serve. You ain't never served. You ain't got no service in your heart. I put on that uniform. I was willing to die for my city. I don't care what the chief said. I don't care how political he was. I don't care that they're giving all these illegals. I put the uniform on to serve. I don't put the uniform on to sit at the headquarters all day and hope nothing dangerous happen. All right, I'm done. Sorry we didn't get to the other topics, but we'll roll them over to tomorrow. So tomorrow we'll hit Stephen A. Smith. We'll talk a little bit about the black community getting silly with us and other news that may come out. So hey, I got another thing I want to show you guys is we got the brand new shirt out. So if you're still in the business of merch, here you go. Don't mess with the USA. I think I just put US. Oh, USA, I got the flag on there. With Maduro on here. All you got to do is go to tatumstore.com, tatumstore.com, put the discount code in. We'll flash it on the screen, put it in the description section. God bless you. God bless America. We out here.
Oh, the land of the free and the home of the